Hi, I'm Davy. I'm awesome. And welcome to Davy's Awesome Stories, where I tell funny stories from my past or go on a rant in an effort to make you laugh. So in the past, I've talked about one of the things that annoys me with food is steak. Those of you who've watched for the first time, I'm not saying like steak itself annoys me. I love steak. It annoys me when people order it wrong. I don't know why. It does drive me crazy when people get it well done and then cover it in steak sauce. It's just because you're ruining the best piece of meat. You're turning it into shoe leather, and then you're covering it in something that makes it to where you can't taste anything but the sauce. But other than that, I don't really get annoyed by food all that much. Sometimes. More what annoys me is other people bothering me about the way I eat my food, especially if it's something common. Like, I watch a lot of those shows where they go from place to place to place trying certain foods, like finding the best hamburger, finding the best pizza, finding the best hot dogs. What is everybody's problem with ketchup? Like, almost every one of them like, yo, don't put ketchup on our burgers. Do not put ketchup on our hot dogs. And I'm just like, I don't get why you care, but whatever. I used to know somebody that every time his mom made pot roast, he had to put ketchup on it. I didn't agree with it, but I didn't care. It's his pot roast. When I went over to his house for dinner and his mom made pot roast, I just ate the freaking pot roast. It was delicious. But I've had people get on me for putting ketchup on a hot dog. People just losing their minds like, if you're over the age of 7, you don't put ketchup on a hot dog. Actually, you don't. I do. And I'm 40. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't put it on like a Chicago dog or something with all the toppings and stuff on there. It doesn't need anything else, but just a garden variety hot dog? Yes, I like a little ketchup, mustard, maybe a little relish or sauerkraut. But I was talking about this one day and somebody brought up that I can't stand when somebody butchers a steak, so I should understand why somebody cares if I put ketchup on a hot dog. No, I don't, because it's not the same thing. What's upsetting me is it's a steak. That's the best cut of meat. As far as a hot dog, that's really not the best cut of meat. Like, let's face it, at this point, we all know what it's in a hot dog. It's all these meats that we would never eat otherwise that they grind up into a meat paste and shove into a pig intestine. Hungry? I will say this, the only thing that annoys me about eating a hot dog is when people have to point out what's in it. Like I don't know by now. I hate to break it to you, but at this point, everybody knows what's in a hot dog. And we all have the same reaction when somebody tells us what's in a hot dog. It's always the same reaction. It's, oh, that is disgusting. Can I get a little relish? So yeah, those aren't the same thing. It's a steak versus a hot dog. Honestly, you caring how I eat my hot dog is almost as ridiculous as me caring how somebody eats their bologna. Like, who cares? It's bologna. Don't get me wrong. I like bologna. I'm white trash. But you eat your bologna however you want. When I have a bologna sandwich, it's just simple. Mayonnaise, mustard, bologna, a little cheese if I'm feeling fancy. But I used to know a guy that literally the way he ate his bologna sandwiches was instead of mayo, he used butter. Like literally he would take butter, spread it on the bread, and then put the piece of bologna in it. Now, I'll try just about anything once. I did try it, didn't finish it, because I really couldn't taste anything but butter. Wasn't a fan of it. But to this day, I'm pretty sure he still eats his sandwiches that way. I don't care. And on that note, I've had people ask, but don't you like butter? Yes, I like butter. But I like butter the way I like salt. I'm not going to eat a spoonful of salt. I like butter to make my food taste better. I know that like carnivals and stuff, apparently they sell fried sticks of butter. Have no desire to try it. In my opinion, my wife eats weirdly. My wife dips her green grapes in ranch dressing. Not only that, but almost every time we eat chicken, my wife dips it in ketchup. Or ranch. Most of the time, ketchup. And I don't just mean like simple baked chicken, I mean fried chicken. She picks it off, dips it in ketchup. The crispy skin and everything. Now yes, I've given her crap over it a few times, but ultimately, I don't care. Who am I to talk? I've got my weird things too. For example, one time, one of the weird things that I like made one of my friends go nuts. A particular friend of mine, he hates mayonnaise. Like, completely hates mayonnaise. Hates it so much that he doesn't understand why people do things like, I don't freaking get it. Why would somebody put mayo on a burger? Why? Why? Because it's yummy? One time, him and I were hanging out. We stopped at a place to have lunch. I got the burger. And, of course, I had mayonnaise on it, which he was already annoyed by. But I also asked the server, like, can I get, like, an extra side of mayonnaise in a cup or something? Which she said, of course. Brought it to me, and he was instantly annoyed, like, if you wanted extra mayo on your burger, why didn't you just order it that way? The extra mayo is not for my burger. And at that moment, I grabbed one of my fries, dipped it in the mayonnaise, ate it, and his reaction to this day is confusing to me. He reacted like this. Are you giving birth? Why did you do that? Because that's how I like to eat my French fries. I dip them in mayonnaise. That is an abomination! Then don't do it. I would never! Okay then. You will never understand what it's like to have a nice golden, crispy on the outside, soft on the inside French fry dipped in mayonnaise. That's fine. That's how I eat them. Unless they're McDonald's fries, those are fine just by themselves. Like I said, we all have our weird things. But I will say, one thing that does irritate me about food is not really what you do with it, or how you eat it. Like, I could care less. One of my close friends since my 20s, she and now her kids eat their ice cream with a fork. It's weird. It's also, in my opinion, a little impractical, considering it's going to melt and go through the teeth on there, but whatever. It's your ice cream. But then again, that's another place that I'm a little bit weird. I will eat ice cream with a metal spoon, but if I have the option, I ask for a plastic spoon. I don't know why, just the reaction of the ice cream versus the plastic is better to me than metal. I don't know. But what annoys me is when people call food weird things. For example, one thing I really love. If I have the option to do this, instead of mayonnaise, ketchup, mustard on my burger, I will just straight up ask for fry sauce. I love fry sauce. I used to get so excited when my mom would make fry sauce when she made burgers. Always wondering what that secret sauce was until the day she finally unveiled that it's just mayonnaise and ketchup mixed together. To this day, I still make fry sauce myself. Only difference is I add a little tapatio just to give it a little kick. But a few years ago, they came out with mayo chup. Why didn't you just call it fry sauce? As far as I know, there is no trademark on the name fry sauce. It's just a thing that's been around for a long time. Mayo chup? First of all, that doesn't sound appealing. Fry sauce sounds appealing. That just doesn't roll off the tongue as well. Especially because when I'm making fry sauce, sometimes I don't use mayonnaise. I use Miracle Whip. Just because I want a little extra zip sometimes. So what are you going to call that? Miracle Chup? Ketch Whip? But I can handle mayo chup. What I cannot handle is that a friend of mine who's from Oregon told me, we call it goop. Goop? Who calls it goop? Like, you and your family? Because I can live with that. No, in Oregon, we call it goop. That sounds disgusting. Like, I know what it is. You're talking about fry sauce, but that just sounds gross. If someone were to ask me, would you like some goop on your burger? You put goop on my burger, I'm suing your ass. No, it doesn't work. Let's just go back to fry sauce. Another thing that annoys me, and I don't understand why it annoys me so much, but it does. It's like nails on a chalkboard. My wife and I have talked many times about moving east, and I would love to. I've been to that part of the country. I like it. But it drives me nuts every time somebody refers to a soda as pop. Don't ask me why. I just don't like it. I hate it. I don't care that they call dinner supper. Whatever. Call that whatever you want. But stop calling it a pop. It's not a pop. A pop is what my back, knees, and neck do every time I stretch. And I get it comes from soda pop, but why are you using the second part? Use the first. Soda. Because we don't do that with anything else. Like mayonnaise. People might be like, hey, could you pass the mayo? Nobody's like, hey, could you pass the nays? And yes, it irritates the crap out of me that he goes by Topher instead of Chris. But now my brother, he doesn't get annoyed by pretty much any of this stuff. He doesn't care. Don't get me wrong, he has his annoyances that are weird. He's one of those people, he's got OCD. I did a video once about messing with my wife and her OCD, and it was driving him nuts just me talking about the stuff that I do to her. Why do I do these things to her? Because she's my wife, she's the love of my life, therefore it's very fun to annoy her. Like, I will say this, when he watches this video and he hears the part about somebody eating ice cream with a fork, it's probably going to bother him. As far as how people eat their food, what they call their food, he couldn't care less. Probably because he knows he's a picky eater. I know you wouldn't think it looking at him, but he is a very picky eater. There was one time that we both shared a mutual, not just annoyance, but freak out over the way somebody ate their food. Long time ago, I was like 12, he would have been like 13. My parents, they had these friends who used to love to throw barbecues and stuff in their backyard all the time, and we'd have to go all the time, which we liked because it was good food. We didn't like because for some reason my parents seemed to be the only people they knew that had children that would go. So we'd sit there and we'd eat and we'd enjoy that and then be bored until my parents decided it was time to go. But while we were sitting there eating our food, and there was a lot of food out, because it was one of those setups that the couple that owned the place, they made all the meats, all the barbecues. You know, they made ribs, they made burgers, they made hot dogs, they made brats. And other people that came all brought something. They brought like cornbread and deviled eggs and baked beans and pasta salads and regular salad and sodas. And my parents brought a bag of chips. That was my parents. They were the kind of people that once in a blue moon to these kinds of functions, they'd bring something real. Like my mom would bring a spinach dip or something, but normally they were the ones that were like, oh yeah, we'll bring chips. And unless the person clarified bring a lot of chips, they'd bring a bag. In their defense, it was a family-sized bag that they would bring. They didn't bring one of those little single-serving chips like Mr. Burns did. Although I wish they would have, because that would have been so funny. But they brought chips. One big bag of chips, and that was it. But as my brother and I are eating all this delicious food, we see a guy getting himself a plate, and I actually remember everything he had on his plate. Not because I have a photographic memory. I don't. I have a terrible memory. I'm one of those people, if you call me and leave a voicemail and I can't call you back right away, I'm probably never going to call you back. It's not to be mean, I'm just going to completely forget until it's very inconvenient. I'm going to remember at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're probably asleep. But it's etched into my memory because of how horrific this was. On this guy's plate, and I will give you this, it was a big plate. They sprung for the big oval plates that you can fit a lot on. It was one of those. He had a couple of barbecued ribs with the barbecue sauce on it. He had a few deviled eggs, some baked beans, a bratwurst in a bun, some pasta salad, some potato salad, some of the chips my mom and dad brought. He had a piece of cornbread, and he had one of those quarter ears of corn on there, because he was feeling corny. And my brother and I noted a very small smidgen of salad. Small, like a bite or two of salad, I guess, to balance everything out. Then the guy grabs a bottle of ranch and starts covering everything on his plate with ranch. Now let me clarify. I don't mean he was covering a bunch of the stuff that maybe he shouldn't have in ranch. I mean he was covering everything in ranch. Even my brother freaked out about this, and my brother loves ranch. Not only does he put it on his salads, he puts it on his chicken. He dips his pizza in it. He dips his fries in it. He loves ranch dressing. But even he was freaking out. We could not believe what this guy was doing. And I don't mean he was just drizzling a little bit on everything. He was basically turning this plate, one of those big oval plates, into a bowl of ranch. And my mom is trying to calm me and my brother down as we're freaking out like, he's putting ranch on everything! Why is he doing that? Guys, calm down. It's not that big a deal. Not a big deal. He's putting it on the ribs that are already covered in barbecue sauce. He's putting it on the cornbread. He's putting it on the corn. He's putting it on the deviled eggs. He's putting it on baked beans. He's putting it on the bratwurst. Let me clarify something there. By putting it on the bratwurst, he's not putting it on there the way like I would put mustard on a bratwurst, where, you make a line down the middle, or even just like a small squiggle down the middle so that the bun doesn't have a lot of mustard on it, protecting your hands. No, he was like drizzling it over the entire bratwurst, bun included, to where there was ranch dripping off of it. But still, my mom is trying to get us to calm down because we are freaking out. This is wrong. This is just not right. Why would you do this? Especially that much ranch. Like it was one of those big, huge bottles of ranch, and he went through half of it just on his plate. Funny enough, though, we did know what he put the least amount of ranch on was the salad part. And he even tried to be funny by walking by and going, what can I say? I like ranch. I do too, but God! I'm just wondering, since you love ranch so much, is all that pesky food gonna get in the way? So there you have it. That's my story video this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to hit like hit subscribe, hit that little bell so you get notifications when I post new videos, and leave a comment. Tell me if you've got any annoyances that have to do with food. Love you guys.